Hey everybody, welcome back to Durand's Designs. I'm Brian Durand. In today's video, we're going to make this retro Santa Claus from Coca-Cola. I'll show you how to find the image, trace it, make all the toolpaths, and do everything you need to make this cool retro 3D model. So if you're ready, stay tuned and let's do it now. So we'll do a new document, and the settings will be 12 by 12 by 2 inches. You can change that for your model, but this is a good starting point. So just do all those settings there, resolution to high for modeling, and I'll set it to cherry wood, but you can do whatever wood you're going to do. Okay, so let's get started. We will open up the image that I downloaded. I'll give you a link below where you can choose the image. Open that up and we'll place it where we want to place it. I'm going to lower it down just a little bit. And once you get it where you want it, we'll just align it to the center of the page there with the align tool. And you can go in and right click when you clicked on the image, and you can fade it to where you find comfortable, where you can see the lines and still see the image to trace. So now we'll just go up and we'll start creating our layers for each individual component. So we'll start with the body outline. We'll name it outline. Make sure that's the one you're on. And we'll zoom in so we can get a better view of what's going on. So we're going to go into the draw line tool, and we'll just zoom in, and we'll just go in and we'll just trace all the way around the body of the Santa Claus. So we'll just follow around the outline. Every time you click the mouse, you're getting a new node that you can edit. I'll just speed this up. You don't need to see the whole process. You could always slow it down on YouTube if you want to see more detailed. But you're just basically going around the whole image, zooming in and out with your scroll wheel on your mouse. Hold down your scroll wheel to move to the next part of the image. And you just keep going. You don't have to be perfect. You can always go in and edit the nodes hitting N on your keyboard while the line is selected, if you want to get it a little more accurate. But like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. So now we're coming to the original start point. And if you click on the original node that you started, you should have a closed line. If not, you can select everything that you just created and close it out. Okay, so we're going to create a new layer now, and we'll do the bottle. And this will be the same process. We'll just zoom in, pick a starting point on the bottle, make sure the bottle layer is selected, and you just start tracing around the bottle. In this case, I'm going to do the ribbon at the same time. I'll have to go in later on probably and adjust and add the hand and the arm as separate components. But let's just start out by creating the model of the bottle. So here you got to make a decision. Where do you want to actually go around? You want to go around the fingers, or you want to just do the bottle? I think I'll change that, and I'll just re-edit that and encompass the whole hand with the bottle as well. Later on, I'll come back and do the fingers and everything separately. So if you want to change what you just did, you just get out of there by closing it out. Go into node edit mode by hitting the N on the keyboard, and you can just adjust your nodes to follow around the hand instead of going up the bottle the way I did. And once you get the nodes the way you want them, you can go back to your create line tool and continue on where you left off. Just remembering that you'll have to connect those lines up afterwards. So we'll just speed through this again. As once you get the line tracing down, it's pretty much just a little bit time consuming, but it's pretty simple. So once you have that all connected up, you're going to make sure that you go in and make sure that that line is all closed. So we'll go up to the layers, uncheck the outline so we're not selecting more lines than we want. And then we can go in and make sure these lines are connected. So we'll go into node editing mode. I think I got some overlapping lines here. I went too far. It's easy enough to fix. Like I said, you go into, well, first you can try to close them. That's not going to work. You can try joining with a straight line. But as you can see, that didn't work either. So once you've tried those two options, you can just go into the node editing mode by hitting N on your keyboard when the line's selected. And you just go in and look for the green start nodes. And you just want to delete those. Because we had some overlapping lines there, went a little bit too far. But now we've deleted the overlap, and it's all one line. So now that we got a couple of the lines traced out, we can start making some components for our 3D model. So we'll go in and we will click on the outline of the body, go to Modeling tab, Create Shape, and we're going to use the dome profile, 90-degree angle, and we'll see how that looks. And you just play around with it until you want to have it on scale to exact height, and then you can pick the height exactly that you want. You just have to play around with it. Each model is different, how you want it to look. You can change the base height as well as the shape height. Apply that, we will go and start a new component. Click on the bottle and we'll go to create shape. We'll apply. That's way too big, so you just have to fiddle around with it and adjust it the way you like it. Lower the shape height. You can change the base height. It's just a trial and error until you get the shape and the look that you want. Change your angle of your viewing, how you're viewing it, so you can see it from all sides. And later on we will go in and add the hand and the arm components so they all look good together. Components there so that we can see the image. We'll click on the image, make sure it's selected, and then we'll go in and create a component from a bitmap. And this will create our skin. Now this is optional. It can create some more work, but it can also save some time. So you click on the component you just created, the skin, and we're going to edit the component properties. So we got to make sure that we lower the shape and base heights or else it's just going to be way too detailed. It'll take forever to carve. This is something you have to play around with each model. The more detailed the picture is, the more you're going to have to mess around with it. Lower the shape height. You might have to go in and adjust some of the components like the nose and the eyes. They don't tend to do well with a detailed skin component. So like I say, you just have to go in there and play with it until you get it to look the way you want. Each image is going to be different. Once you get it the way you like it, you can close that out. You can go back in and start making some more components. And don't forget always to name your components so you know later on what each component is. And we can go in and we can adjust the bottle now that we have the skin on it. And we can just fool around. You're going to be doing that multiple times when you're creating models. You're going to go in and adjust, see how it looks, keep adjusting till you get it the way you want. You get quicker at it the more practice you get. So now we'll go in, we'll make the arm stick out a little bit, create a component for that, so we'll have to trace around that. So we'll go back into the drawing mode, and we'll go to the create line tool. Before we do that, let's just uncheck the model so we can see what we're doing. And we'll just trace around the hand, and we'll just have the arm come out and stick out a little bit. There's multiple ways of doing this. I will just start creating the components. By tracing around the arm, just pick a point to start, and we'll just speed this up again. So once we get back to the original start point, hopefully you've connected it up properly, and if you have, it's connected and closed. So you can uncheck the other items. You can see that I didn't make a new layer, so I made a mistake there, but it's on the bitmap layer. It's easy enough to fix. Just click on the component that you just created, the line, and you can move it to a new layer. Choose the name of the layer. We'll choose arm, and now it's on its own separate layer. We can uncheck the bitmap, and you can see that it is closed out. Okay, so we'll go back into dual view mode, go to modeling, click on our model again, make sure everything's visible, and while the arm is selected, we'll create a new shape. And now you just have to play around with it until you get it to look the way you want. You can make the 3D view full so you can get a better look at it. And now you just have to go in and just adjust the settings, the base height, shape height, until you get it the way you want it to look. And it's going to speed this up a little bit because it's subjective to how you want it to look. So once you've adjusted the settings the way you want them, you can go in and name that component. I'll name it arm. And then you can go in also and adjust the bottle afterwards, now that you've adjusted the arm. You just have to keep turning the model around until you get the look that you want. Okay, so now we'll move on to the next component. Uncheck the model so you can see what you're doing. Add a new layer. Call this one the buckle. And it'll encompass the buckle and the buttons. We'll do them all as one. You just go around, you trace the buckle, and you can trace the belt and the buttons. I'll just speed this up again. So now we'll go and create the circles for the buttons. Just go to the Draw Ellipse tool. Just draw a basic shape where you want it, and you can hit the node edit by hitting N on your keyboard when it's selected. You just go in and adjust the nodes using the handlebars or just dragging the node itself until you get the basic shape that you want. And once you got the shape you want, you can copy it, hitting Control C on your keyboard, and then Control V to paste it, and you can just drag it up to the next one, and it's adjust it as you need to. Okay, so now that we've finished that, let's create the component for the buttons. So we'll select each button, hit the Shift on the keyboard while you select them both. And we can go into dual view mode, go to modeling, we'll click on create shape, and we'll just create a shape for the buttons. Just hit apply, and then you'll just have to go around and adjust the size, the base height, and the shape height. Okay, so now I think you kind of got the hang of how to make the different components. Let's just speed through the rest, or the more straightforward ones, and then we'll get on to maybe more difficult parts of the model. So you can see just quickly go through some of the other components. Let's do the belt. You can choose where you want to make components for. It's up to you. You could go as detailed as you want, or you can just stick with the skin to give yourself detail. Obviously, the more components that you do yourself, the more accurate the model's going to look. And you have to tweak and adjust things as you go as well, as you build out the components. One thing I found on this model with just the skin added to it is that it needed a nose to stick out a little bit. Now you can go in detail, you can make the nose, you can make the eyebrows, you can make the eyes, you can do all of that to have a more detailed model. But I think I like the way the skin is on this one, and it works okay for me. But like I said, each model will be different on how much detail you can get out of just doing a skin alone, or if you need to go in and make each component yourself. So as always, just if you could go down and hit like and subscribe and comment down below, it really helps the channel grow. It really helps me be able to keep making these tutorial videos for you. And keep watching every week, as I'll have new videos on tutorials on Vectric software, as well as in the future I'll have some workshop woodworking related videos as well. Now you can see here that I decided that I was gonna, with the bottle, I'm gonna delete that component I made of the bottle, and I'm gonna go around and do that thumb that I kind of missed on the first trace. So you just go and click on the line, then you hit N on your keyboard to enter node editing mode, and then you would just, once you get it the way you want it to look, you just go delete the original component that you made of the bottle, and then you just make a new component out of the new line that you just created. And like I said, as you go, you're just constantly tweaking and adjusting the shapes to make them look good. And it's always a good idea to go in and name your components as you go. I tend to forget to do that when I'm creating them, so I just go back and name them every once in a while. And it's important to zoom in and out of your model, look at it from different angles to see exactly how it looks as you're going. Because sometimes you can't see something until you look at it from a different angle. Okay, now I'm going to go in, create a new layer, and we're going to make it for the hand. That hand looks a little two-dimensional. We want to make it stand out a little bit from the bottle. So you have to just go in and trace around the hand so you can have it stick out. So use your create line tool again and just trace around it. And once you got that done, you can go in, create your shape, just tweak it, look at it from different angles, adjust your base height, adjust your shape height, till you get it to look the way you want it. And once you got that done, and you're happy with your model, like I said, you could go in and tweak it more if you like, more detail in the face. But I'm happy with this for now, so I'm going to select the first and last by hitting Shift component, and I'm going to group them, and I'll minimize that, and I will duplicate it. Then I'll uncheck the original, and I'll work on the duplicated group. And we'll go into the sculpting of the model. Now this part is subjective again. You can do as much or as little as you want here. You can go in and smooth parts to make them fit together better. If you don't like certain parts, I don't like the eyes. I'm going to probably fix those eyes with the sculpting tool. The skin never usually looks very good. When you're creating a skin from a picture, the eyes never usually look very good. It's something you want to adjust. Usually I start by just using a smoothing tool, and I'll just go in and smooth out anything I don't really want. Like this skin was very detailed on the wrinkles and stuff like that, and areas that we don't really need in a 3D model, and it's just going to take a long time to carve all those little details that you don't really need. So you just go in with your smoothing tool and just kind of smooth out any of those areas that aren't really needed in the model. Anything that can save some time in the carving is worth it. Now, I won't show this whole process regular speed because this could take a long time depending on the model that you're doing. This part here can be very time consuming. So I'll just speed through and edit some of the parts out of the video. Now, if you find you've taken out too much detail from what you just did, you can go and deposit some more material by hitting the 3 button on your keyboard. That's your deposit tool. And you can just make a line. You just have to adjust the strength and the thickness of the line, the strength and the smoothness and the diameter. Then you can go in and smooth it afterwards to make it a little more natural. Like I said, you can spend a lot of time on this, but on a 3D wood carve, it's not really necessary to get too detailed in the fine details. So another thing you can do is just go out of there, hit OK, and you can click on your component there and just do smooth component, and you can just adjust the smoothing there a little bit more if you got a little bit too much detail in your carve. You can just adjust that slider until you get it look the way you want. Once you have it the way you want, you can just hit OK. So like I said earlier, I'm not happy with the eyes here, so we're going to go back in to the sculpting tool, and I'm going to create a new set of eyes using the sculpting tool. So what I'll do is I'll smooth out what I have so far, and I'll just start with a blank canvas, and then I'll add some material and smooth it out. And if you find the smoothing brush is not working good enough, you can go and use the smudge tool. And you just go in there, just try to flatten out the eye sockets as best you can. Then we'll go in and add material with the number 3 brush. And you gotta watch how much you add here, because it can look kind of like a cone, pointy. You might have to go in and smooth it out a little bit. It's kind of really small movements back and forth in order to get the shape you want. You can always hit undo if you don't like what you have. Control Z on your keyboard. And you definitely want to look at what you've done from different angles. So you can see how high it is sticking out there. You can go in with the smooth tool. And that's a bit too much, so you just undo it. It's, like I said, it's just trial and error to get it to look the way you want. See, they're sticking out too far there, so lower the strength and just kind of back and forth movements. So I like the way that looks a lot better. The eyes stand out more. So when you're happy with what you have done, you can hit OK to keep it, and you can move on to your tooling. I won't go too detailed into the tool path because that's another video in itself, and this video is getting pretty long. So I'll just quickly run through a finish pass only using 2 tools. And that looks pretty good to me. You could go a little more detailed. Get a smaller tool in there. I kind of like that. Now one other thing you can do is you can add some words in there. I'll go back into my file operations and I'll move up the box so it looks a little more natural. Give me a little bit more room up top to add some words, and I'll just add some words Merry Christmas on the top of the carve there. Now we'll just select the text and we'll go and create a component from it and just apply that. Go to your 3D view. And you can just tweak that the way you want it. If you want to make it a little bigger. And you just rerun the toolpath, finishing pass once you got it the way you want it to look. And you're good to go. And you calculate it. And there you go. So I hope you liked this video. It was a long one, but I'm glad you stuck around to the end. So tune in next week and I'll have a new video for you. And we'll see you then. Thanks for watching.